Let me tell you why this is actually bad advice and runs counter to what a lot of counter-disinformation experts have been saying in recent years. Don't get me wrong, fact-checking is extremely important, but it's only one of many tools that we have at our disposal in the disinformation field, and it needs to be part of a multifaceted approach. We know from polling data and from years of research that people don't respond all that well to stats and data just stacked up against a narrative. A well-crafted narrative, which most disinformation often is very hard to dispel by just simply saying that's not true. First off, you're going to have people who are just going to say, well, that fact check is false, I don't agree with it. And second off, you're going to have people who have already tuned out after that information has been spread to them, or that's the first thing they hear. We're primed to remember that. So even if they hear the fact check, they might not remember it. They might only remember the disinformation. Fret not, I'm not here to spread doom and gloom. The reality is that we have a lot of different tools that we use actively on a day-to-day basis as counter-disinformation professionals. The current prevailing theory as to the best way to handle disinformation and its spread and the threat that it poses to both elections and just us in general is called inoculation, and it is what it sounds like. Basically, if we provide people with the tools to recognize disinformation, if we show them even a little bit of how it works, they're already exponentially more likely to be able to spot it and not fall for it. So just replacing a bad narrative with a fact check is actually harmful in some cases, because oftentimes when you do a fact check, you have to repeat the false information in the first place, or else there's no context for people to understand what is being fact checked. And that's the first rule in disinformation, is do not repeat bad information. You replace it with a true, better narrative. Fact-checking is a necessary part of that process because we don't know what true narrative to replace it with if we don't correctly fact-check things. But if you only fact-check and you only present fact-checks, you're not going to do all that much to prevent the spread of that disinformation, and in a lot of cases, you can accidentally spread it yourself.